Molokai is an island located in the central Pacific Ocean, part of the Hawaiian archipelago, situated between the islands of Oahu to the northwest and Maui to the southeast. Molokai is graced with waterfalls, beaches, coves, coral reefs, and rainforests, which are best explored on foot, by horse, or by boat. Tourism in Molokai is a journey into Hawaii's untouched past, where visitors can immerse themselves in the island's pristine landscapes and rich cultural traditions. Known for its lack of commercialization, Molokai offers a more peaceful retreat, with residents of the island committing to sustainable tourism, ensuring that its natural beauty and local way of life remain preserved for the years to come. Ron and Karen Zoltowski welcomed their son, Jeffrey John Zoltowski, into the world on the 19th of March 1970. Jeffrey grew up in Farmington, Michigan, alongside his sister Kim, who was a few years his junior. By 1993, following his parents' divorce, 23-year-old Jeffrey had attended Wayne State University in Detroit, where he was a junior in general education. However, according to Ron, his son paused his studies the previous summer as he was unsure of what he wanted to pursue in life, and he wished to, quote, do a little soul-searching. Despite his parents' divorce, Jeffrey was said to be close to both of them. Jeffrey was described by his father as, quote, a good boy, and he is of great character. He spent a lot of time in soup kitchens for the needy. He would gather coats for the homeless. He would read letters for blind people when he visited the Veterans Hospital. Ron further commented, quote, I tell everyone that Jeff is the kind of kid that would run down a hill and stop to hug every tree in his path. He was a vegetarian. He wouldn't even wear leather. His views are different than mine, but I respect him for it. He told the Honolulu Advertiser, quote, he smiles with his eyes. That's the one thing that anyone who has ever met Jeff would remember about him the most. Hiking can be challenging due to its physical demands, varying terrain, and unpredictable weather conditions. However, Jeffrey was a fairly seasoned hiker who, according to his sister, quote, lived off the land and had hiked in places such as Montana and Colorado, and eventually set his sights on travelling to Hawaii for a solo hiking expedition. Jeffrey Zoltowski arrived in Oahu, Hawaii on the 31st of January 1993 and stayed at the Hare Krishna Mission. According to the Honolulu Advertiser, he had done copious amounts of research about the vegetation and land of Hawaii at public libraries and decided that he wished to hike in Molokai. After completing his hike in Oahu, he arrived on the island on the 21st of March and called home, where he informed his family about his plans to hike in Wailau Valley on Molokai. Jeffrey was seen 10 days later on March 31st, solo camping in the remote Wailau Valley. He adventured into the wilderness, stepping through the treacherous jungle and seeking the thrill that comes with exploration and discovery. The specific trail began on the south of Molokai and heads north along the eastern edge of the island. According to the media, around 200 people hiked the trail each year, and hikers rarely ever strayed from the path. On March 31st, by the shoreline at 8:45 a.m., Jeffrey caught the attention of a helicopter from the State Department of Land and Natural Resources, known as the DLNR, which landed nearby. Jeffrey approached them and told the forestry ranger on board that he was suffering with painful blistering and bleeding and desperately wanted to leave the Wailau Valley, yet he was too exhausted to do the 14-mile return hike. Jeffrey asked to hitch a lift on the helicopter back to civilization. However, both the ranger and the pilot of the helicopter refused, stating that not only was the helicopter apparently full, but Jeffrey was also not in a life-threatening situation. They suggested to him that he could hire a private aircraft for $650. However, Jeffrey was not in the financial situation to do so. The forestry ranger offered to take Jeffrey's backpack, estimated to have weighed around 60 pounds, to prevent Jeffrey becoming encumbered. The ranger insisted that the 23-year-old keep some essentials, with Jeffrey taking his tent with him. Then the ranger took the dark blue backpack. The helicopter then deserted Jeffrey in the wilderness. This was the last time anybody saw Jeffrey Zoltowski alive. Jeffrey had planned to return home on May the 16th and had regularly called home in Livonia, Michigan. In the final days of March, his family became concerned when he failed to contact them on the weekly basis he regularly did. Several sources cited the date of May 2nd as the day his mother reported him to police as a missing person. Further concern arose when, on Sunday the 9th of May, he did not call to wish Karen a happy Mother's Day. The backpack was kept at the Kaunakakai base yard, where it was to remain for 30 days to be claimed. Unfortunately, Jeffrey did not appear to collect his backpack, and the pack was subsequently transferred to the police as a lost item on May the 10th, after the backpack was forgotten about for 41 days, until DLNR workers realised it was sitting beneath a table. The missing persons report and the backpack were subsequently linked 7 weeks after Jeffrey vanished. As the initial search for Jeffrey began, his father, Ron, stated his bewilderment at his son supposedly agreeing to part with his backpack, which contained several important items. It became apparent that Jeffrey only took his tent out of the backpack, leaving essentials such as his compass, maps, flashlight, and first aid kit behind, as well as his 16th May return flight ticket to San Francisco, his ID, journal, and food. As word spread about Jeffrey's disappearance and the retrieval of the backpack, Ron Zoltowski boarded a flight out to Hawaii on the 12th of May. Ron collected Jeffrey's backpack and spent approximately $39,000 in his search efforts for his son. Ron printed and distributed posters of Jeffrey, with 2 photos showing Jeffrey both clean-shaven and with a beard, in the hope that somebody knew something. He said, quote, "I've sent them to all of the Hare Krishna temples in the world, 247 addresses, because my son had some involvement with them. I have a gut feeling he could be involved with those people." For context, the Hare Krishna movement's teachings originate from ancient Hindu scriptures, with adherents believing that Krishna, an avatar of Vishnu, is the Supreme Lord and that humans are eternal spiritual beings caught in a cycle of reincarnation. Within his son's journal, Jeffrey had written about his planned hike to Molokai. However, once he arrived on the island, he didn't update his journal straight away. In later entries, he used many question marks, which his loved ones believed suggested that Jeffrey had lost track of time. He also wrote that he was looking forward to returning home and was excited for a Grateful Dead concert in June of 1993. His sister, 20-year-old Kim, believed it was possible that her brother may have been hallucinating while out in the wilderness. Ron hired private investigators in July and was angered by the police's response, stating, quote, "I blame the state government for what has happened." He continued, quote, "The biggest problem I have with this whole thing is they took his belongings and then forgot about him and his backpack. There was no follow-up, no inquiry, not one slip of paper of the incident or about the bag." Ron concluded, quote, "There's many scenarios of what could have happened to him, but I'm hoping for the best." The Maui County Police scoured the Wailau and Halawa valleys via land, sea and air searches, utilising teams comprised of members of the police, US Marines, fire department and civilian volunteers. Despite their efforts, nothing was found in these searches. Ron remained active in his quest to find his son, taking friends along with him to personally interview locals, and furthermore, he called senators to request aid from cadaver dogs. As the case got more attention, alleged psychics from both Detroit and Hawaii offered the family their thoughts and stated that they believed Jeffrey was injured but alive. They also believed Jeffrey had been involved in a landslide and was suffering from amnesia. Jerry Malik, a friend of Ron's who had visited Hawaii in 1989 and had encouraged young Jeffrey to travel there, closed his business for an entire month so that he could help find Jeffrey. Jerry told the press that, quote, "Maybe if I didn't tell Jeff to go to Hawaii, maybe this wouldn't have happened. It's a nightmare. We cried a lot of tears. We cried probably several new waterfalls for Hawaii." A $25,000 reward was offered for any information regarding Jeffrey's disappearance, which saw many tips being made to the authorities. A man called in a tip stating that he discovered Jeffrey's body on the shore, having appeared to have succumbed to a shark attack. The man claimed to have performed a traditional Hawaiian burial for him on the beach. However, police stated that the tide was far too high for such a burial to have taken place. Maui police scoured the beach for any potential evidence, however, nothing came of these searches. The niece of an old friend of Ron's reportedly told her family that she had witnessed, quote, "a kid who was missing from Molokai in Kalalau Valley on Kauai, a place where Jeffrey had indicated he wished to visit in his journal." Strangely, according to the Honolulu Advertiser, once she found out that her uncle personally knew the Zoltowski family, she, quote, "dropped out of sight herself and could not be interviewed." Months went by, then years followed, with no further clues as to what happened to 23-year-old Jeffrey. Many questions remain unanswered, such as why did the DLNR workers not make the link between the backpack and the missing persons report sooner? What factors made the pilot and forestry worker determine that Jeffrey was not in a life-threatening situation? Why did they take his backpack when he required all of its contents to merely survive? On July 28, 2001, 8 years after his disappearance, a man resembling Jeffrey was reportedly seen near the Institute for Human Services, a homeless shelter close to a Kmart in the area of Nimitz Highway and Sumner Street in Honolulu, Hawaii. A woman claimed that the man, who went by the name Sam or Samuel, was begging for money from vehicles stopped in traffic. He exhibited heavy facial scarring, walked with a limp, and had slurred speech, suggesting he may have sustained a severe head injury in the past. However, it has never been confirmed that this individual was Jeffrey. Despite efforts by investigators to locate the man, he could not be found, and furthermore, following inquiries, no one at the Institute recognised Jeffrey Zoltowski's photograph. Since his vanishing, his mother, Karen, sadly passed away without ever knowing what happened to her son. His father, Ron, and sister, Kim, continued to keep Jeffrey's case in the public eye in the hope that one day they can be reunited with Jeffrey. When Jeffrey Zoltowski went missing, he was described as 23 years old, standing at 6 feet tall and weighing approximately 160 pounds. He is a Caucasian male with brown hair and brown eyes. Jeffrey, also known as Jeff to loved ones, has a birthmark on the outer side of his right ankle bone, quote, roughly the size of a nickel or quarter, and a small scar beneath his left eye. He may have a moustache, beard, or goatee. He is left-handed and has previously fractured both his left ankle and left hand. He was last seen wearing a purple tie-dye t-shirt and white shorts. If alive today, as of 2024, he would be 54 years old. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Jeffrey Zoltowski in 1993, you can contact the Myuu Police Department at 808-244-6000.